Welcome back, everyone, to the 28th edition of the Women of Wrestling podcast. 28 here on ringbellsonline.com. Irish Stu Allen here alongside the freaky one himself, Lee Burton.
Hiya. A bit of a weird show for you today in the fact that it wasn't actually recorded that recently.
No, well, the majority of it wasn't anyway. We've already let the cat out of the bag on the last show with Leva Bates that we had another show already in the can, and that's for the most part true. A few weeks ago, we had a chance to talk to Courtney Rush, the suplex-tastic Courtney Rush, in fact, about her career to date, the change from being PJ Tyler into Courtney Rush, what she's up to now and what her future plans are. Great show, and that's going to be about an hour. But before we bring you that interview, we've got another little surprise for you, Lee.
Yeah, we managed to get hold of the promoter of NCW Femmes Fatales, which is the show that we're kind of focusing on in our interview with Courtney Rush as well. So we're going to be joined by Stephane Bruyere, who's going to be talking through the matches that you're going to be expecting this weekend.
Yes, and the use of this weekend, you're listening to this after Shimmer.
Which is why we don't mention anything about Shimmer at all.
We're recording this before Shimmer, so we're going to keep mentioning, for the sake of clarity, stuff being this weekend, because it's coming up October 8th in Montreal. So without further ado, let's first have a quick word with Stephane before we bring up Courtney Rush. Okay, we are back then with the NCW Femmes Fatales promoter Stephane Bruyere, presenting Femmes Fatales VII. This weekend, the 8th of October, at the Centre Saint-Barthélemy in Montreal, Quebec. Stephane, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Stu and Jason. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. There's an old school nickname that we haven't heard in a while, although I did hear it quite a bit while I was in Italy, but that's a whole other story for a whole other time.
Indeed. And we've got you on the show to talk about Femmes Fatales coming up this weekend. We've got Courtney Rush in the wings with a pre-recorded interview we've already done talking about the show, but we figured we've got an opportunity to get you on here, have a quick word, and work our way through the show, talk about some of the stuff that people can expect to see if they make their way to Montreal this weekend, or eventually on DVD as well. Awesome, no problem. The best thing about the show is, and I've told you this in private before, is that I think that on paper this is probably the biggest and the best show that you've done so far, and it's kind of funny as well because you're actually main eventing it with two Montreal girls.
That's one of the things we wanted to do with that show, is for the first time on 7th event, we wanted to do a main event with two of our like local girls, and who other than Calamity and Lufisto to do that main event. The thing is, you were speaking, I think also this is our strongest show on paper. The last time I thought that it was last March for Femmes Fatales V DVD taping, and I was like, at the end of the show, I was a little bit like not too happy with what we had. The show was still good. The show was like well received from our fan, but I thought we could have done something bigger with that event. So I'm working a lot with my team to try to not do that same error again. And we have a lot of like good people from our pre-shows to our main event. We have like experienced worker pretty much in every match. So that could be a good thing for everything.
Yeah, the show's being subtitled as World Summit, and you've got people from all over the world right through the show. I mean, we can start with Courtney. Say we've got coming up. She's taking on Kelly Skater, a second Australian in 2 shows for Rush.
Exactly. Yeah, Courtney is probably one of the rising stars in Canadian women wrestling, and probably in like all the world women wrestling also. She's been evolving really like fast in the last months. Her fight, if you haven't had the chance to see her match versus Madison Eagles last June, it was a really like a breakthrough match for her. And now she have the chance to fight against Skater, which she already faced last Shimmer taping. Yeah, it was last Shimmer taping. And it was a really entertaining match, and I'm quite sure it will be the same thing this weekend.
One of the things that I was looking at, we're talking about the World Summit, is you're bringing in some of the Joshi girls, well, who are over here, or over there, I should say, for Shimmer. So let's start off with Tomoka Nakagawa, who is going to be part of a three-way with Sweet Cherry and Portia Perez.
Yep, Tomoka, that's the Joshis I was working to have them on one of her shows since last year, since the first time I saw them in Shimmer. I was in contact with everybody there, and we were trying really hard to get them in Montreal. I was trying also to have her shows the week after or the week before the Shimmer taping, so the Joshis will already be in America to do both shows. And Tomoka is probably one of the first girl we saw here, and she's really talented. She has a lot of talent. She has great charisma. That's one of the reasons I've put her in the match against Sweet Cherry. For those that haven't seen Sweet Cherry yet, she's one of her Quebec girls. She's really old school as a wrestler. She has probably, with Lufisto, she's probably her biggest face right now in the province as female wrestler. She has a good character. She has great charisma. So that was one of the reasons why Sweet Cherry was put in that match. And we decided to add Portia with everything that happened in our last Amazon and Titans tournament in August, where Portia's team beat Sweet Cherry's team in the first round. So this will be quite a good a mix with all great talents. They have pretty much a similar style, and I think the fans will love to see Tomoka in Montreal.
And sticking with Japan as well, Yumi Oka is going to be part of his show, taking on Cheerleader Melissa in a match which was it's a rearranged match for Melissa.
Exactly, yeah. At first, Melissa was supposed to face Mary Rose for that event to end their never-ending feud. It was supposed. Well, it started in March, where Mary Rose she was in a match with Shinene and Cheerleader Melissa. And Melissa beat Shinene, and after a match, Mary Rose just attacked Melissa. This went out to the main event of last show, where Mary Rose decided to interfere in the match, and but Melissa was able to not be distracted by it and win the match. And last Amazons and Titans tournament, they were in the same match in the first round, but Mary Rose always refused to be in the ring at the same time as Melissa, until one time where Melissa was down on the ring, and then she decided to attack Melissa. So the match was supposed to happen there, and then a couple of weeks ago, I received a letter and a video from Mary Rose, who is now represented by Mademoiselle Rochelle, and she told me she didn't want to wrestle Cheerleader Melissa that night. So I thought it was a good possibility to put Yumi Oka at that place, so we can do a real international dream match there. Yumi, that's the one that I've seen wrestling on some videos and on YouTube quite often in the last months, and she's really a great wrestler. And this will be a really, really powerful and physical match between Melissa and Oka. So I think this also the fans will enjoy a lot.
Can I just say, I don't blame Mary Lee Rose for a second. I think if Melissa wanted to get revenge on me, all you would see would be a puff of smoke and I would have ran.
Probably, yeah, but the thing is, what I don't like, I don't care if the thing is, she knew since a couple of months she will be probably facing Melissa, and now at the last minute she decided to refuse the match, so that put me in a bad situation. And Melissa, I spoke with her, she's okay with the fact that she needs to face Oka right now, but I'm quite sure it's not over.
Fair enough. Let's talk about another upcoming star in Canada. Xandra Bale, she's going to be taking on Shanae on the main card here, and this is going to be the first time for Xandra back on the main card after spending the last couple of shows on the preliminary bouts. What do we make of Xandra Bale and Shanae as a match?
Xandra Bale, she has been also training a lot lately. She is evolving a lot as a wrestler also. She lost her last two matches in the preliminary matchup against Angie Sky and Missy, the last two shows. She did show great aptitudes in the ring, and that's why she's back on the main card to face this time Shanae. Shanae wasn't there in June. She lost in March against Cheerleader Melissa, as we just said. This will be a match to see who wants it the more to stay on the main card. There's two talent completely different. Shanae, she has charisma. Her opponent really like to dislike her. She's the kind of wrestler that nobody likes to be in the ring with because we never know what we can expect of her. And Xandra Bale, she's doing a lot of high flying. She's really technical. So it will be a good mix of style here. And the wrestler that won it the most will probably stay on the main card for the next shows.
And for more on Xandra Bale, actually, we talked to Courtney about her. So stay tuned for the rest of the show and you hear a little bit more about Courtney's assessment of where Xandra Bale is at the minute.
The one that I've been quite interested in looking at since you announced it, Stephane, is it's the return of Tiana Ringer, which is just so amazing to me. The fact that after being away for 4 years or so, she's decided to come back and wrestle again. Tell us a bit about the circumstances that led to Tiana Ringer making her return at the show.
Tiana, well, we were talking together since a couple of months, me, Lufisto, and Tiana, to see if she wanted to come back. At first, she was backstage at her show last March. She came to visit some friends backstage here in Montreal, and she's now living. Actually, she's having studies in Montreal right now, so that's why she's in the city, and she liked the product we were offering. She liked that we were having like Shimmer, an all-woman wrestling company, and it took like a couple of months we were asking her if she wanted to come back. She wasn't sure. But finally she said yes, and we were really, really happy that she decided us to do her comeback match on October 8th. And her opponent, well, it won't be an easy task because Mercedes Martinez haven't lost yet in Montreal. She's on a roll pretty much everywhere she's wrestling right now. She's probably one of the best, if not the best woman wrestler in the world right now. That's my opinion. And I think this will be a good test to see if Tiana wants to continue first, and if Tiana is ready to come back in the ring. And I'm quite sure they will do whatever they want, not whatever they want, but whatever they can to impress the crowd that night.
I've seen some photos of Tiana Ringer recently, and she looks like she is in incredible shape. It's not like you're going to be having her coming back and maybe only going at 50% or something like that. It looks like she might be as good as the last time we saw her.
Exactly. She's ready to come back. She's training. She was training also at her regular NCW show during the afternoon. She came just to train in the ring, to be back in the ring. So she's ready. She is in tremendous physical condition. This can be a really, really interesting matchup, and I think this can go either way in the ring. The best may win that time.
The big question I have is this a one-time only return, or is something that Tiana's looking to get back into?
It's one time by time, so we don't know yet. We'll see after that show.
Okay, so if she's happy, then there's a possibility that we could see more?
Totally, yeah. Okay. Why not?
Oh, please.
All right. Moving on further on the card here, we've got a match between another of the Rising Stars. I seem to be saying that a lot in regards to Femmes Fatales, and I suppose that says a lot to the way you're building up some of the local girls, both from Ontario or Quebec as well. And this is Angie Sky. She got to the finals of the Amazons et Titans tournaments earlier on this year. She's going to be taking on Cherry Bomb.
This could be an interesting matchup also. Angie Sky is probably the Quebec wrestler that improved the most during the last year. In the ring, she also changed her mentality. She's now she's having a new manager in the NCW regular show. She's really into it right now. She's training a lot. She's getting a lot of ring time pretty much everywhere in Quebec, and she's starting to have a name for herself. She knows that her match on October 8th versus Cherry Bomb will be difficult for her. They have pretty much matching style. They have pretty much the same style in the ring. Cherry Bomb is for sure more experienced. She has more experience. But I think if Angie Sky is coming in the ring and do what she can do, I think she can put Cherry Bomb in trouble in the ring. Angie, when she went in the final versus Melissa, she was able to do some offense on Melissa that probably nobody knew she was happy to make. And this is the one thing also we can see on the DVD that will go out on October 8th. This DVD, this is a breaking through match and show, because she did 3 matches that night. Against Calamity, against Calamity's team, against Cheerleaders Melissa team, and against in the first round it was against Kira from the Turbo Connection team. So she's been evolving a lot. She's working hard, and she just hopes she can have the big win so she can prove herself.
And that, of course, brings us on then to the main event, and that is the big match that we talked about earlier on, Montreal versus Montreal, Lufisto versus Calamity. I think everyone knows Lufisto. Everyone has seen her work in either Femmes Fatales or on the indie circuit across Shimmer and internationally as well in Mexico and in Japan. People might not have heard of Calamity yet. Why is Calamity in the main event against Lufisto for the championship? Calamity
has been... it's funny you were talking about rising stars. We have a lot of rising stars, and that's one of the things we wanted with Femmes Fatales is we wanted to showcase our Quebec and Ontario wrestlers, and that I think that's something that we did really good for now on, until now. When we hope to continue doing that. Calamity has been, since she did the main event of the Femmes Fatales 2, she was at first against Cheerleader Melissa in the match, then after Cat Power interfere and Lufisto interfere to do a big tag match, that end up with Lufisto putting Cat Power in the table. Until that match, we saw that Calamity was able to rise her game to the main event level. We were happy to see that, because we knew and we know again that Lufisto, she's our best wrestler in Quebec since 10, 12 years, since she started to wrestle here in Quebec. And if someone can do that, it's Calamity right now, because she's been rising, she's been evolving greatly in the last months. She's been training a lot. Her recent change of attitudes also. Like in June, she turned on her manager and she went with Lufisto. So they started to work together. They started to train together also. I don't think they knew they were facing each other until then, because to tell the storyline a little bit. In June, Calamity first turned on her old manager and she went on Lufisto's side. But what she didn't knew is her old manager already signed the match, the main event for the Femmes Fatales show in October, so she can get the match she deserved for the International Femmes Fatales Championship. As she won a first contender match last May, but she never used that contendership. So I don't think she knew that she would face Lufisto on October 8th. I don't think Lufisto is ready. Not she's ready, but I don't think Lufisto will be ready to. Would have been ready to give her some like trainings if she knew she would have to face her in October also. So I know their friendship is good. Last show on September 24th, there were a little bit like dissension between those two at the end of the match. But like when Lufisto saw the footage, she saw that everything was fine. So there's still a lot of question here. This will be a great match for everybody. I think this will be the match that will really put Calamity on the mainstream level. She's ready. She has been working hard. She has been facing the best in the business in Femme Fatale since 1 year and a half with Mercedes. She had great matches with Mercedes. She had great matches with Melissa. She's doing good. She had great matches versus Lufisto in last October also. I think this will be the match. The winner of this match will be the one that will be ready to hurt her opponent the most. It will be. We don't know which way the crowd will go, so that's one thing also.
You know, as far as Calamity is concerned, and Lee will agree with me on this one, but when we saw her on Femme Fatale for the first time, she was the one that stood out, that was the obvious sort of future star. She was the one that seemed to have the presence, and that's the thing. I mean, she's not a tall girl, but she walks around like she's 10 foot tall, and she has this look that you just think she could kill you as soon as look at you, and she has a real presence. This has got the potential to be a great match. It's also got the potential to be perhaps even a changing of the guard. It could even be a time for Calamity to take over from Lufisto's position at the top of Quebec wrestling.
Calamity has been, like, since the start of Femme Fatale, she has been rising a lot. She has been through obstacles, and she's been good. She's been wrestling she did her first trip to Jersey All Pro Wrestling last December, where she wrestled Lufisto actually, and the match started with the crowd chanting Calamity, "Who are you?" and "Who are you?" And at the end of the match, it was "Please come back" and "Please come back." So it was fun to see. It was fun to witness a great talent like that. She and Lufisto can do the match of the year in Quebec wrestling, and I'm quite sure they can do it, because right now they already face each other 2 times this year, and the 2 matches are already on the list of match of the year contenders. So 2 without 3, I'm quite sure this match can be at least as good as the other. This will be fun. This will be fun for sure.
I still want to be there. We unfortunately can't, but for those of you who can, Stephane, give us a final rundown then of what we need to know.
Okay, so if you can make it to Montreal, we still have a little quantity of VIP tickets left. VIP tickets are $30. It's first row tickets plus meet and greet with the wrestlers from 5:30 to 6:30. Then we open the door at 7 o'clock and 7:30 the show start. If not, the regular tickets are $15. It's first come, first serve. We have a lot of new merchandise for everybody. We have the Amazon's and Titans tournament that will be on DVD on sale on October 8th. We have also some surprises as merchandise. We will probably also give a little some little surprises also for next event, which is March 10th of 2012, so March 10th of next year. This is our next show, and I don't know yet how many surprises we'll give you, but I'll see how I feel that night.
Oh.
And so I'm quite happy to see where Femmes Fatales is right now, how Femmes Fatales has evolved as a company. If you can make it to Montreal, please help indie wrestling. If you can help, if you can come, if you can go see any other indie wrestling need your help, needs you to buy DVDs, need you to come see our show, because without the fans we cannot do shit. So the fans help us to grow as a company, and it's the fans that making us love what we do or hate what we do. So yeah.
Absolutely. And ncwfemmefatales.com is the website, so any other information you need, pick it up on there. Stephane, been a pleasure. It's been too fast, though. We've just had a short time to talk to you here. We'll have to get you back on future shows. I think there's a mind that needs to be mined of information there, and we'll have you back on and have hopefully a longer chat with you in due course.
Yeah, no problem. I'll be happy to talk wrestling and business of wrestling with you. No problem.
That sounds good.
Yep.
Okay, well, Stephane, thank you. And Lee, do you feel a little bit ill?
Always, dude.
Yeah. Do you have rock and roll pneumonia?
Have I got what?
Have you got the rock and roll pneumonia?
No, it's just the way my trousers hang.
Have you got the boogie woogie flu?
The what?
You're going to need some bad medicine. Bad medicine by Bon Jovi in wrestling can only mean one of two people, and no, we don't do a Lucha Libre podcast, so it's not Dr. Wagner Jr., but it is Winnipeg's own Courtney Rush. Courtney, thanks for giving us some of your time here on the show today.
And thank you very much for inviting me on.
Well, you know, it's one of those things. You've been a massive breakout star this year. You've turned a lot of heads, and a lot of people talking about Courtney Rush all of a sudden.
Hopefully in a good way, too.
Very much in a good way, yeah. And you know, that's kind of one of the first things that I want to talk to you about, because we've got Femmes Fatales coming up this weekend in Montreal, where you'll be wrestling. But this past year, and basically just about this time last year, you reinvented yourself. You changed your name, you changed your look, and the wrestler formerly known as PJ Tyler became Courtney Rush. And with that seemed to come a whole new sort of rush of confidence and you know, people talking about you and stuff. So tell us about the decision last year to change yourself up, to change your name, and what was the inspiration for that?
Yeah, just about exactly a year ago, I started to finally gain confidence. And, I mean, starting to learn who I was, to, you know, not running around just... And, I mean, like, let's see, PJ Tyler existed January 2008 to October 2010. So in that time, that was me trying to figure out who I was, my confidence in the ring, what kind of athlete I was, even growing into my own changing body as, like, I'm going to the gym and learning how to lift weights and become a better athlete in that. So, I mean, you know, I'm getting less awkward in the ring, feeling out who I am and becoming more of a confident person in my personal life as well. So then I wasn't even PJ Tyler anymore. PJ Tyler was a student who was learning who they were, and then she grew up into Courtney Rush.
Right.
And if you want to use my my rock star gimmicks, PJ Tyler was the groupie and Courtney Rush is the rock star.
It does sound like a step up then as far as who you are. But was it really a big amount of lack of confidence and insecurity in those first couple of years? Did you not feel like? Did you feel like you should be there, or was it a case of do I belong?
Not a case of whether or not I belonged there, or whether a case of or not of how do I feel confident in the ring. How do I feel like I'm getting in front of fans, and even as a babyface, I get booed in some places, and then I'm like, oh. I'm just like, oh, I just want to go to the back now. I'm like, why don't you like me? And I didn't like me, so why would they care if I wouldn't have cared for me, right? And I had to start putting across more of myself. I never came up with the name PJ Tyler. That was given to me. That wasn't something I ever felt belonged to me. But I wasn't going to change it until I found what did belong to me. And then I found Courtney Rush, and I'm like, yes, this is me. This is where I come out.
Was the Courtney Rush idea and the Courtney Rush gimmick something which you'd been working out for a while, or was it just something that hit you then?
It's something I was trying to find for a while, trying to find the right time to bring out a grittier side, a more dominant female rather than, and you'll see it a lot in like new girls, because if the girls train with guys, right? And if you're training with guys, you're one of the smallest people in the class. So generally all girls are taught things that the bigger guys can take, like head scissors, like, flying stuff, things that are flashy and things that the guys can teach them in the ring. And that doesn't always work when you get in the ring with other girls who are all taught the same things and none of us know how to take it.
That's a really good point, actually.
Yeah. So then so I'm doing head scissors, and I used to wrestle against Cat Power, against Miss Dania, against Jennifer Blake in Canada, who were all, if not the same size, but bigger than me, who could take these things, right? Mm-hmm. All three of those are gone now. Cat Power retired, Miss Dania moved to Alberta, Jennifer Blake's in Mexico, and all of a sudden, I'm the bigger girl on the indie circuit in Ontario. And I'm like, I'm probably not going to head scissors Cherry Bomb. Or, these other girls, or Sandra Bale, these other girls who are smaller than me. So that became, when I took it upon myself, and I moved away from Windsor. I moved up closer to Toronto. So I started training with other people and learning new things and learning moves and different technical styles that I could do to now incorporate the fact that I was bigger than other people, which is when the Suplex Queen was born.
Yeah, I was
and I started learning that. Yeah, and then I started learning, hey, it's way more fun to throw these little girls around.
More fun to throw than be thrown. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you talked about your training and training with the guys and so on. I mean, we talked to Cat Power earlier this year on the podcast, and you've basically got the same background as she has as far as trainers. Tyson Dukes, Johnny Devine, Scott D'Amore, all the sort of Border City guys. I mean, who did you train with when you were there? Who was your main trainer out of those guys? Was it Tyson?
Main trainer, probably Tyson. Yeah, he was there the most. He's really good at finding your individual skills and what you should work on and what would work best for you, and tweaking the individual technical things. But yeah, those three, definitely all my basics were learned from. When I moved away from Windsor and I started training more at the Squared Circle in Toronto. So then I would be training with, the head trainer is Rob Schleichel, but he's not there that often when I get to go there. When I started training there, I was training with Cobra Kai, who's one of the older guys on the circuit who can teach you a lot. And then they train a more lucha libre style, which is which helped a lot with me learning how to take lucha libre moves, so learning how to base for things, which I never did in Windsor because I was the smallest person there. You know, like, I'm not going to base for, like, you know, Joe Doring. It's just not going to work, right? Also, training in Windsor was something that was cool, and it was something that was different from what Tyson and Scott and Johnny could teach, was when Phil Atlas trained there, and he was going over to All Japan multiple times. So he would bring back some Japanese stuff when he would come back from those tours. So that was neat. That was another thing that was incorporated into training there.
How did you find the training? Was it something that you took to easily, or was it something that was hard to get your head around?
Oh, it was the hardest thing ever. I come from a background of 8 years of rugby, so being hit and knocked down wasn't hard. But I am not graceful. And I never have been. And we would do, like, my first few classes there, and Tyson was working meticulously to try and help me roll to my feet, because I could not do it. I could not do a front roll and get up onto my feet with a fluid motion. And he's like, did you never, ever take gymnastics? I'm like, no. He's like, you didn't do it in school? And thank God Johnny Devine's from Winnipeg, and he's like, no, they don't teach that in school over here. He knows we have a very, like, limited athletic teachings in Manitoba for whatever the reason. Wow. And I'm like, no, we teach how to bruise each other. We'll play contact sports, but grace, nah, not so much trained.
Isn't it ironic that having a background in contact sports can actually maybe limit you when you start learning to wrestle?
Absolutely, because you got to get your footwork first, which I certainly didn't have. You can, you know, incorporate the bruising later on, but if you don't have your basics and you can't, you know, move gracefully in the ring without tripping over your own 2 feet, you're not going to get very far.
That's true. And the interesting thing...
I certainly was.
The interesting thing about it is that as far as training is concerned, you started probably quite late as far as women's wrestling is concerned. You start training, I think, when you were 23, is that right? 23, yeah, I believe so. I mean, how did that help or hinder you sort of starting a little bit later? Was it more difficult to train your body to do different things, or did you have a better sort of more life experiences to draw on, and you know, when you started? I feel it helped me a lot. I was a lot more confident at 23 than I ever was at 18. And that's funny to say even now, because like I look back and I'm like, I wasn't confident at 23 at all. But I knew better who I was and what I wanted to do, and I was more comfortable with like being able to pick up my life from Winnipeg and move it to Windsor, where I knew nobody. And I don't think I would have been able to do that at 18, or at least keep my mind doing it at 18. And you see a lot of, I mean, you can look over, I can't name names right now, but I mean, you can look through the past and you see people who came up, like, started training when they were so young, and they just, like, lost their minds in it because they became so they came into it at such an impressionable age. And, you know, wrestling can take you if you let it. It's its own subculture, it's its own world, and if you get lost in it, it's like, well, okay, hang on. Where's your head at? Reality check. And if you lose that reality check, you're done.
Is there a possibility that if you start a bit younger, like 18 or so, or possibly even younger, there's always that possibility of maybe burning out when by the time you maybe hit your early 20s, you just think, you know, I've missed some of my teenage years when I really should be finding myself in life, and now I want to go out and live, and maybe I'm just going to leave wrestling to one side.
Absolutely. You're still a kid at 18, no matter what you say. You know, and I wasn't ready to make that. I was in, what did I do at 18? Well, I was in university, taking film and theater, which have both helped me in wrestling, so I'm glad that I did them. And, you know, everything happens for a reason, right? I was taking those things because later in life I would make this choice, so I needed those. I needed those as a foundation before I got here. But, yeah, you're definitely still a kid at 18. And if you do all this, and like I know certain people who came into it 18, 19, and they were like, well, by 23 I need to be signed and this and that, and it didn't happen, and then what? Like your whole life plan fell apart? Well, no, just take a step at a time. Don't be silly, you know. 23 is still super young. That's when I started. I didn't feel old. I was a little older coming into it, but why do you have to start at 18? I understand you get more at an earlier age, but I don't know. I like that I started late. I feel I had a better grip on reality than some people.
Yeah, that's probably true. There's quite a few nut jobs in wrestling.
Oh, you noticed that, did you?
Yeah, I've noticed that once or twice. Yeah, you made your debut in Belleville, Michigan, apparently on January the 30th, 2008, for a promotion called PTW, where you wrestled Haley Rogers, the later to become Cat Power. And
at the Diamondback Saloon.
Really, that sounds awesome.
That's the best name for a venue ever.
Isn't it? Isn't it cool?
More shows at the Diamondback Saloon, everybody. But yeah, in that match, you had another name, apparently.
Yes.
I've never seen or heard this before, actually, but you wrestled for your first match only as Casey McGuire.
Yeah.
Was that just
and that was all Cat Power.
Was that Cat Power give you that name?
That's all her fault, yeah.
Why Casey?
I don't know why she came up with that, but she thought it was the greatest name ever, and I was like, I didn't have a name for this match because it was sprung upon me that it was going to be my first match. Because I think Scott was organizing that show, and he originally wanted somebody else for Cat's opponent, and they couldn't get who they wanted. And I remember sitting in Scott owns a bar in Windsor, and I was sitting there with a couple other wrestlers, and he's like, yeah, I don't know, this person's not available. We might have to throw Holly in there. And I'm like, and I remember looking at Tyson going, ha ha, he's kidding, right? And Tyson's looking at Scott. No, Tyson's looking at Scott with this funny look on his face going, no, I think he's serious.
Wow.
And I look at him, and I'm like, okay, well, let's get to class.
How long had you been training at that point?
At that point, okay, he told me that in December, May, 7 months.
Okay.
7 months.
And how was that first match?
Really good. Surprisingly good.
Really?
I look back, I have it on tape. I look back at it now, and I'm like, wow, I had way worse matches after this. But it was really good. Like, me and Kat, obviously we trained together, so we knew each other pretty well, even before I even had a match, so I was comfortable with her. And she made it very comfortable for my first match, where we were just working together really, really well. And you see things where it's like, oh, she's new. But it was good. It was good, and Scott was very happy with it, and he texted me later and said he was proud of me, and I kept that text for a year until my phone broke.
Oh. That's really nice to hear somebody say that I went out and I had my first match and I really enjoyed it, and I think it's, and I look back at it now and I still think it's a good match, because generally when we hear from people and they're talking about their first match, they say, that was the shit. Or I was a
You'll
complete
never
mess.
see that match ever. You know, they've got it hidden in a vault somewhere. But no, it's.
Yeah, no, I hear that from a lot of people. No, I'm happy with it. I have fond memories of that match.
But then
on the note of people's first matches, I have been searching for a year for Kat's first match. So when I do find it, I will send it to you guys.
Oh yes, we'll put it on YouTube. That'll be fantastic. Yeah.
Oh, it'll be great. She's in a mixed tag, I remember.
She's gonna hate you forever.
Oh, for sure.
So after this match and everything went well, and you thought this is great, you then thought this name's not going to work.
Oh no, it never was going to. We just kept it for that. We just used it for that show.
Fair enough. And then who sprung PJ Tyler on you as a name then? Was that Scott, or was that one of the other promoters?
No, it was Tyson.
Okay.
Tyson came up with it because, well, me and him were brainstorming one day, and I was like, I have no idea what to use for a name. And he said, why? What do you mean? What happened to PJ? And I was like, wait, what? Where did PJ come from? I have no idea where he got in his head that we had settled on PJ. But he threw it out there, and I was like, well, I got nothing better. And we came up with Tyler because of Steven Tyler. Aerosmith's one of my favorite bands. So I pasted that together and went with that, but I had nothing else to use, and that was fine for now.
What did PJ stand for?
I don't know.
This is a well-thought-through name.
Yeah, you can all make up things that PJ could stand for. It would never stand for anything or official.
Leave messages in the comments section for what you think PJ stood for.
Yeah, go for it.
The best one wins the thumbs up.
Yeah,
let's see if people can come up with something good.
As far as names are concerned, though, I don't mean to keep going back to names, but as far as Courtney Rush is concerned, is the Rush bit a reference to Rush, the band?
A lot of people think that. I'm actually not a fan.
Fair enough. I just thought you're Canadian, you're a rock fan.
I know, everyone thinks that. Well, you're Canadian, you must love Rush. No, I would like it if you edited the singing out. I'm really not a big fan of Geddy Lee's voice.
Fair enough.
But that's not to say that I don't appreciate their music. I think the music itself is brilliant and progressive and very forward-thinking and very their own sound. Great. I'm just not a fan of his voice. And, that's just it. I like certain songs. I love Tom Sawyer.
Indeed. Well, who doesn't?
But I can't sit there and listen to them.
Fair enough.
Is the Rush bit from George St. Pierre, then?
It's partly George St. Pierre, yeah. I liked it, and I was playing with Rush, and then I was watching a GFP fight, and I was like, oh, wait, that actually makes sense. So I had thought of it before that, and then he just kind of confirmed it.
Well, Courtney Rush is a great name. It's better than PJ Tyler.
Oh, so much better.
I don't think there are. Are there any other Courtneys in wrestling?
These are Courtneys in wrestling. I can't think of any. So. I can't think of any off the top of my head. I'm sure there's, one on some indie circuit somewhere that maybe we aren't familiar with. But
I'm
it's
sure
not
we'll all be getting a million
common,
tweets now.
Yeah, probably.
There's some indie wrestler out there called Courtney going, don't forget about me.
So bad. Yeah. He's going to send me an angry letter now.
So...
But it's certainly not common. It's not like I use Michelle or something like that.
No. So for much of the next couple of years, then you wrestled in and around that area, and more often than not, you did wrestle Cat Power. You said that your first match was really good, and your last match with her was at Femmes Fatales earlier this year in March, where you guys had a combat de rue. Street fight.
Yes.
Stu loves saying that.
I do love saying combat de rue. It's fantastic.
It sounds so cool, doesn't it?
It does. It's much better than Street Fight. But yeah, of all the matches that you guys had, did you have a favourite?
Oh, wow. There's been a few that we had a really great time in, and there's been a few where we're like, wow, let's forget about that match, please. There's certainly some standouts, not always for good reasons. We had a tag match, which I think was either my third or fourth match ever for BCW, and it was me and Jennifer Blake against Cat Power and Jade Chung. Mm-hmm. And I accidentally broke Kat's nose during that match. Through no fault of my own, really. It's completely her fault. And if you watch the video, it's completely her fault.
How?
But the funny part about it, because she fed her face for a jawbreaker.
Yes. Well, here's the thing. I did see this when I was doing some research about some of your previous matches. I saw that it said that you had broke Haley Rogers' nose in this match on May 3rd, 2008. And then the following Friday, 6 days later, it says that she re-injured Rogers' nose.
Yeah, and that was her fault again, because she hit it on the bottom rope.
Right.
So really, I've injured her, quote unquote. I've injured her so many times it was never my fault. But everyone says it was my fault, and I swear it's not. But the funny thing about that tag match is everybody thought it was Jennifer Blake who did it, because just after the jawbreaker, Jen gave her a shining lizard, and that's when, like, and of course, like, when you break your nose, the blood doesn't come out right away, right?
Right.
So, and after the Shining Wizard, that's when her nose started bleeding. So everyone thought Jen, like, smashed her with the Shining Wizard. No, it was me.
Wow.
No, it wasn't you.
Yeah. Oh, right, it wasn't me.
Exactly. Yeah, you almost incriminated yourself there.
I'm the cat killer.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. Another match from your past history, looking back, was March 2010. A pretty interesting looking match. You wrestled at the Wizard World convention in Toronto.
Oh, this match
with some of your with some of your colleagues, and you guys all dressed up as video game characters. Now, I know from reading your tweets, you're a big video game fanatic. You and your buddies were all fighting characters, and you dressed as Cammy from Super Street Fighter.
Yes. That was with a bunch of Squared Circle students. So we were Cammy and Zangief from Street Fighter against Team Mortal Kombat, which was supposed to be Scorpion and Johnny Cage. But then Johnny Cage couldn't make it, so then Vega turned on Team Street Fighter and joined Team Mortal Kombat.
Oh.
Which is, I know. So we kicked their butts. We're like, whatever, this is garbage. If you're going to betray us, you're going down.
Who's your favorite Street Fighter character?
That was actually a lot of fun. What's that?
So who's your favorite Street Fighter character then?
Well, favorite Street Fighter character. I only recently just started liking Street Fighter after watching the movie, actually.
After watching, hang on.
I'd never seen.
You started liking Street Fighter after watching the That's not possible. That's not possible.
No, it's awesome. The movie's the best. To watch it again.
Mortal Kombat, the film, was much better than Street Fighter.
Hang on, can I just clarify here?
I was a big Mortal Kombat fan, so then I never really played Street Fighter. But then we were watching the movie because we were having a Jean-Claude Van Damme marathon night. I was like, oh my god, Street Fighter is awesome.
See, that's what I wanted to clarify. I thought, do you mean an animated movie? But no, you actually mean the Jean-Claude Van Damme travesty.
No, the movie. Yeah, Jean-Claude Van Damme kicking butt everywhere. So good.
There's so much wrong with that movie. Here's another question.
I like my movies to be fun.
Well, here's another question to do with Street Fighter, and it's one that I've been thinking of since I was about 11. No, seriously, I need to ask somebody about this. It's been bugging me for about 20 years. Did anybody have Dal Sim as their favourite fighter?
Yeah, I think the silence speaks volumes. I don't think that's possible.
No, I doubt it.
Just the dirt worst character in the history of the world.
Yes.
Shame on you, Capcom.
Yeah. Just shake your heads and pretend it didn't happen.
I do want to find somebody who had Dal Sim as their favourite character and then just shake them and ask them why.
There's got to be someone. Come on, Twitterverse.
That's right. We'll put that out there. We'll see what happens.
I don't care if you're 5 years old. I'm still going to shake you and ask you why.
Yeah, do it.
Let's talk a little bit about Femmes Fatales to bring it back to the story.
If you must.
If we must. It's usually my job in this podcast is to bring it back to the core. Femmes Fatales this weekend, you're going to be taking on, you're going to be taking on Kelly Skater.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about you and Kelly Skater.
Me and Kelly Skater, this will be round 2. I'm taking it back to the Mortal Kombat now. Round 2, fight. I'll show you for trying to keep me on track.
Yeah.
Me and Kelly Skater, yes. First encounter in Shimmer in April, and I loved wrestling her. It was just flowed so well, and it was like our first encounter, and I was just really pumped that it flowed so well. Can't wait to get back in there with her and see what we can do to each other. On a funny note, though, this is what is this? Femmes Fatales VII now?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Femmes 6, of course, I wrestled Madison Eagles, Shimmer champ, and Kelly Skater's mentor. So I don't know if the student's coming after me now for daring to challenge her teacher.
Well, that's a good
but I
point,
like to look at it that I'm single-handedly taking on Australia, which is cool.
I don't like this Commonwealth on Commonwealth action.
I know. I thought we were supposed to be friends, man.
I thought you were part of this international gangsters thing.
We did.
Is this all falling
I don't know
apart?
what's going on. Maybe someone else is trying to beat us up. Trying to split us up by making us fight each other.
Oh, you see.
I'm going to get to the bottom of this. You're onto something here.
That's why we're journalists.
Yeah, I know.
/ instigators.
We're going to have, like international badasses with, like, me and the Australians and the Knight Dynasty. And
see, this is a Commonwealth connection.
Yeah, that's right.
There's a stable for you.
Yeah. Well, I like that.
If anybody does it, I demand royalties.
That's fine.
Just about.
How about cake? I can give you cake.
We'll take cake. But as far as your match with Madison Eagles go, I mean, that must have been a really big occasion for you.
Massive. I was like, when I got told that in April, and the match happened in June. So I had 2 months of just endless excitement, where I was just really pumped and getting ready for this, and like knowing that was like my biggest exposure yet, and like most kind of, God, what's a good word for Madison Eagles? High profile, well respected, and just the nod of getting to go in there with her and have, the go ahead, just like go and have a match and go and wrestle and go show them what you can do against someone who's considered the best in the world, and if I'm not mistaken, most recently named #1 in PWI Women.
Indeed so, yeah.
I believe I saw that. So yeah, I got to face PWI #1 woman in the world.
And were you happy with it?
Yes.
Excellent.
It was my hardest match ever. That woman hits hard.
Well, were you concerned before the match?
Behind her.
Well, were you concerned before the match, because Madison had been hurt and she'd been off for a while, and she'd only wrestled maybe one match and only had a bit part in that match, and then you're wrestling her. Were you concerned that she still might be hurt, or did you try and take care of each other, or did you just say, look, let's just go all out and leave it in the ring?
I had been talking to her beforehand, obviously, trying to find out how her shoulder was doing, and trying to see how her rehab was and how she was feeling. And we were obviously talking beforehand and going like, hey, how you feeling? What kind of pace do you want? And I would never I would never have been reckless about it. I'm obviously concerned about there's multiple different ways you can take a match, and if we couldn't do this, then I can do this. If we can't do this, then I can do this. And I think we put together something to not. I found out afterwards, I'm sure when she was letting on, but at the same time, you never would have known. In there, she's so professional and she's so strong and just so driven that she was never going to let it hold her back. And I think that's awesome that she did that for me.
It's been
for not just for me, for all the fans, for everyone, for the promotion. It was great.
Yeah, and as you say, it's a massive boost to your own confidence as well, that you're considered of the standard to go in there in a semi-main event with her and put on a good match like that as well.
Yes, absolutely. It was Lufisto in the back, who's the Femmes Fatales champion, and she said, hey, you're going on after me. You're semi-main, so give her.
You're like, yes!
I was like, it'll take a couple laps to calm down. I was pumped for that. I was not nervous. I was just really excited about it.
And there
was never a thought that I couldn't do it.
Excellent.
That way.
Yeah. And I suppose the other big exposure you had earlier this year was that you made your way back to Shimmer. You had been in a Sparkle match or two in 2010 as PJ Tyler, but you came back as Courtney Rush in the tapings earlier this year, and again turned an awful lot of heads as well. Got the chance to wrestle, as you say, Kelly Skater, Daisy Hayes as well, Mina Libra.
That was another thing, and that right there is a look at the confidence change. I mean, if anyone saw my Sparkle matches with PJ Tyler, and I was just like, I was there, you know, you guys were there, you saw them.
Yeah, we were there, we saw them, yeah.
Yeah, so see, like, you know, I felt like I was there when I was PJ Tyler for Sparkle, and then I felt like I was on when I was there for Shimmer for Courtney Rush. And the difference that I felt like in the ring for those matches, and I mean, that was, I think there was a year between those two showings. Yeah. Yeah, because it was March 2009. Yeah. Oh gosh, time flies. But yeah, the confidence level, I did not feel confident when I was there for Sparkle, and I did when I was there for Shimmer, and I think that showed, and I think reading people's reactions from it and hearing people's praise from it and just talking to me about how they felt from it, and it's obvious, it's very physical and it's very tactile, the confidence change between my character change and between when I finally understood myself and what I wanted to do in the ring and how I wanted to get that across. And it's a physical change. It's not just mental. It all like came about and manifested in a physical form. And I'm really happy about that. I was really happy that I didn't end up like changing to Courtney Rush and everyone going, oh, you just, you know, you changed your name, you're pretty much the same person. I'm not at all. I'm not the same person.
We definitely noticed the difference when we were there. We spoke afterwards, said, you know, PJ Tyler, yeah, she was fine, but that Courtney Rush is something else.
Yeah. Courtney Rush is here to, you know, turn heads and, you know, make an impact. PJ Tyler was just, you know, she's fun, she's cute, she's, you know, thanks for coming out. Maybe see you again sometime. But that's what it feels like for me, too, and I'm happy it feels like that for other people.
Well, I think one of the things that really just everybody just sat up and took notice was your sort of debut as Courtney Rush in Shimmer, I guess, against Mina Libra, where we talked about it at the time, just in the after party, and you just dropped these massive suplexes, like you're talking about just becoming the Suplex Queen. I think everybody just went, oh my god, that's ridiculous.
And that's what I wanted. You know, that's what I wanted to get across. That's what I've been doing up here to girls, just throwing them everywhere, and that's what I wanted to bring down there, is say, hey, look out, because if you turn your back and I get a hold of it, you're probably going flying.
Yes, and Mina Libra did, in fact, go flying.
Yes, a couple times.
Here's a question for you, talking about throwing about the girls up in Ontario.
Sure.
With Femmes Fatales coming up, I mean, they mostly, you know, they've got a lot of opportunities for the local Quebec girls, and you know, some of the Ontario girls get a chance to go to Femmes Fatales as well. And I know Kat mentions Zandra Bale as being one of the Ontario girls to look out for. I mean, if you were scouting the Ontario talent at the minute, who would you tell us to look out for as far as talents up there at the minute?
I definitely have to second Sandra Bale. That girl is fearless. She if I had to use one word to describe her, definitely fearless. She will try anything. She is up for anything. She is a gamer. She will just get in there, and I mean, I'm a good head and a half taller than her, and she brings it. You know, she doesn't back down. She just flies around, throws her body or across the ring, and she needs more experience. She went through, like, her first year, I think maybe she had like 3 matches, just because of the. It's hard to describe. Here we have kind of like home bases where, like, whatever school you were trained with, and then they're associated with a certain promotion. And then a lot of times, especially with the girls, the home promotion is very, like, protective and, like, almost won't let their girls work outside of that promotion, which is ridiculous to me, because how are you supposed to gain more experience, and how are you supposed to learn unless you go and wrestle other people and other places? And front of other crowds. So she wasn't getting a lot of exposure in that first year because she was really only wrestling for that one promotion. And Kat worked with her on show, and I asked her about her because I had heard, hey, there's a new girl here, and I had asked about it, and Kat's like, yeah, she just needs, you know, she's got potential, she just needs more experience, and she's so small. And so I was like, okay, and then I was putting out there, I was trying to get her on other shows too, and it almost takes another person outside of your home promotion to get you on other shows because nobody actively looks. You know, you have to have somebody pitching for you. And if you've got nobody throwing that pitch out for you. I mean, Kat and I luckily had Tyson, and Tyson, who's like I'm not even going to say one of, who's the most respected wrestler in Ontario. And he says, hey, put my girl on the show. And they say, okay. You know? Yeah. So we had that working for us. Xandra didn't really have anybody doing that for her. So it was up to, there was Kat, there was me, and then with me is a couple of the guys that I run with, and if they were running shows, I'm like, hey, can you put Xandra on for me to wrestle? You know, so getting her away from that one promotion, getting her to work other matches and wrestle with other people and get more experience, and she's grown a lot since then in her repertoire, in her ring presence, and I was her school is very serious and very lucha based and very like not a lot of character work, and like some of them are. I'm not gonna say none of them, but some of them are. But a lot of them are like very intrinsic in the ring. Like everything that they do is centered in the ring, and getting them to like fire up is like pulling teeth. Because it's just to acknowledge the crowd. But she's gotten so much better at firing. She's gotten so much, like, she'll acknowledge the crowd now. She'll make noise. She was so quiet getting her to make noise. And I actually challenged her the last match that I saw her for. I'm like, listen, I want you to put in this comedy spot. And she's like, no, why? I'm like, no, I want you to branch out. I'm daring you right now. Put in this comedy spot. And she did it. And it kind of got over. She needed to make it bigger. So but definitely watch out for her because, like I say, she'll try anything. Other people to look out for. We're losing girls in Ontario. They're dropping like flies. I don't think I have to mention Cherry Bomb. She's pretty good at getting her own name out there, but definitely keep an eye on her. She's my greatest rival right now. Me and her are enjoying kicking each other's butts all over the province. And oh boy.
Well,
there's so few of us left.
Well, it seems though, and this is a nice little segue. You're branching into to some other opposition as well, and that opposition comes in the form of people such as the werewolf, the mummy, Frankenstein, Zombie Man.
I know, we're literally bringing people back from the dead to wrestle.
That's the case, because what I'm talking about...
that empty.
What I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen, is a new movie, which is going to be coming out very, very soon with Courtney as one of the stars of it, and it's called Monster Brawl, and we'll link you up to the trailer so you can check it out, but the general premise of the movie is some of the film industry's greatest sort of monsters coming back to battle for supremacy in the wrestling ring. The cast includes, apart from yourself, includes people like Jimmy Hart, Kevin Nash, UFC referee Herb Dean.
That's awesome.
Well, he is one of the most awesome men in the world. And you play
he's amazing.
You play this character called Witch Bitch.
Yes.
And you're one of the 8 sort of spotlighted monsters. And how did this come about? I know you did film at university, but I mean, how did this come about?
This came about. The production company is called Foresight Features. And they are based out of a town that's like really close to my hometown. It's about an hour and a half north of Toronto. And what they're doing is they have in Ontario there's a special art grants for anyone who's doing things outside of Toronto, because they really want to branch outside of the main city. So these guys who are based outside of Toronto were working on 2 features. One of them was Monster Brawl, and one of them was called Exit Humanity, which is a zombie movie. And so they're working on these 2, and they're trying to. And Monster Brawl, which is the tagline, is a fight of the living dead. And the entire premise is that there was this, once upon a time, there was this old tournament, a death fight tournament for monsters called the Monster Brawl, and it's been out of cycling for a while. And then some of the old fighters who are lost in their lives and have no direction because there's no more Monster Brawl. And the tournament gets brought back because there's so many. There's garnered interest to see these monsters to fight again, and there's certain characters who are almost like managers. Like I have a manager who's known as the Grub, and he comes and hunts me down, and he's like, "Listen, I want to restore you to your former glory. You were a fighter, and now you're living in the backwater town where you're not appreciated." And so I'm like, yeah, I want to get back to like my old form and like be the witch that I was, not this beaten up old hag that nobody respects. Right? And so I know a lot of the characters are like that. They're coming back and they're like restoring their former glory. And and of course they're all death matches. So
quite literally.
Yeah, a couple of us only get one fight.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing I want to bring up. I'm looking at the website now for the movie, and all of the characters are all listed on here, and all of them have got their fight records on there.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to tell you, but your character's record is not good.
No, it's not.
Really isn't.
Your character's record is shown here as 4, 31, and 5.
Yeah. Right? Like I don't know what happened in some of those.
It's like
I don't know.
Hicks and Gracie here or not.
31 degrees. Daniel would have dropped you by now.
But damn it, if I don't keep coming back.
Yeah, but by comparison, Cyclops is shown as having a record of 22,000 0 and 0.
He's a little older than I am.
That is true. He is 3,027.
He's been around for a few millennia.
That's right. Whereas which bitch is only 33. So yeah, fair point.
Yeah,
you got some time.
Baby. Yeah.
You got time on your side.
Yeah, I'm starting out. Really finding myself.
But still, for those of you who want to know more about Monster Brawl, I mean, we talked about it briefly beforehand, but it's currently doing the festival circuit. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, it had its world debut in Montreal at the Fantasia Film Festival in July, and it got like rave reviews. It got, I think it was bronze medal in the fans' choice of the entire festival, and like all these like amazing like awards and like reviews, and everyone's just like going nuts about it. And to the point where for the After Dark Film Festival in Toronto, it was invited to be part of the gala premiere. So it's going to be one of the first movies screened in the entire event, which is really awesome. Yeah.
And when's it going to go on any sort of like, you know, either general release or DVD release soon? Have you any idea at all? Like, when can we get our hands on this?
I have no idea. I know it got picked up in a festival in Sweden. As far as DVD, I'm not sure. I'm keeping my eyes out for that, and I'm definitely going to be tweeting it as soon as I find out.
Yeah, you do that. We'll help spread the word. That's.
But until then, festivals.
And
I'm trying to, put as many trailers and screenshots and everything possible. I try and put that online so people can at least get a look and get more excited about it and keep their eyes and ears open for it. There's fan pages. There's a Facebook page for it. They're pretty good at updating all of their information and keeping us posted on what festival they've got accepted to. Go look on Facebook. There's a Monster Brawl fan page, and they definitely got all the info on there.
Excellent. One thing I mentioned to you before the interview, we were talking about stories, and we mentioned that Kat Power had told us a story when she was on the show earlier this year about hitting a deer whilst driving late at night between shows in, I guess, the backwaters of Ontario, and you said that you had a story to tell, and it wasn't going to be a different story. You were going to elaborate on the same story, so by all means, the floor is yours.
I am going to elaborate on that story. I was supposed to be in that car because we had gone up earlier that day to a show in Oshawa, which is just north of Toronto. We were driven up from Windsor with me and Kat, and then Phil Atlas and Brad Martin, and going out to a show there. Now, the thing about that is I had just started seeing my still boyfriend, Jake O'Reilly, and he was going to be at that show. And the whole plan was that I was going to stay up and hang out with him for a couple days and then come back to Windsor with Tyson and Kiyoshi, who were up at another show, and they were going to pick me up on the way down through the town back to Windsor a couple days later. So I would, had it been a normal circumstance, I would have been driving back home with Kat and the boys, and I probably would have been driving because I'm the night driver. I'm very good at staying up late, and I don't have a problem with everyone else sleeping in the car, which they always do to me. I think it was one time someone stayed awake. No, twice. And 2 times people stayed awake with me on the way home. And one of them was because I had to keep Brad Martin awake because he had a concussion. So I kept poking him in the passenger seat to make sure he was still awake, talking about the most random things. And the second time was Kiyoshi, and he doesn't even speak English.
Wow.
So we were trying to hold a conversation, but it wasn't working great.
These guys have got no worker etiquette, have they? You're not supposed to sleep in the car.
Oh, I know.
Ridiculous.
I'm really good at driving by myself, though, so that's why I'm the night driver. But yeah, so I would have been driving home, but I was staying up with my boyfriend Jake in his place for a couple of days. So I go home with him, and I think we went to a movie or whatever, but we were planning on like a beach day the next day. And I wake up the next morning to, who called us? Somebody called us and said, "Hey, did you hear about the car accident?" And we're like, no, what car accident? And they go, "Oh, Kat and Phil and Brad, they hit a deer on the way home last night from the show." And so both of us look at each other, and I'm like instantly on my phone because they called him. So I'm instantly on my phone texting all of them to find out if they're still alive, what happened, and who was driving. Shocking that it was Kat, because I love you, Kat, but you're a bad driver. You make me nervous whenever I ride with you. I love her to bits because she's always the first person to volunteer. She will always be there to drive if you're too tired. Most of the time we're like, "No, I'm good. I'm okay. You go back to sleep."
So what you say?
I don't know. So I don't know if she was too tired and she didn't see the deer, or if she just panicked and hit the deer, or if the deer was actually evil and jumped out in front of her. I don't know the actual story. All I know is I wasn't surprised when it was Kat who was driving. I love you.
I love the idea of an evil deer who jumped out
I know,
of the
right?
car. That's wonderful. But what you're saying is you
would... could have. That's happened to me.
Evil deer?
But what?
Evil suicidal deer?
No, there are evil deer, and they're the ones that run alongside the road for like a stretch of time, keeping up with your car, and you just know that they're going to decide to jump into your car at some point. Have you never seen that happen?
Have these deers been breeding with lemmings? They just run alongside going, "Ha ha ha, I'm going to kill myself now."
Yeah, they're like, I don't really like living anymore. I'm like, why don't you just go find a bear? I'm sure he'll kill you.
All right, we're in the UK. We've never had problems with suicidal deers.
You don't have issues with suicidal deer? We do.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We have a lot of, like, countryside and forests, and I don't know. I don't know why they do this. Back home in Manitoba, I had a deer just decide he was just going to jump in front of the car. It was icy, so maybe he slipped, but I like to think that he was just a jerk.
We've been talking about the fact that we both want to go to a Femmes Fatales show at some point, and hopefully it'll happen sooner rather than later. We've been talking about the idea of perhaps doing a road trip. I think the idea of having potentially evil deer as we drive the roads of Canada sounds like a fantastic plan.
I know, right? Well, see, Femmes Fatales is in Montreal too, so if you're going along those northern highways, there might even be evil moose.
Ooh.
Okay.
I know.
So somebody's going to have to explain this.
Those are like the super villains of the deer world.
Yeah, is a moose bigger than a deer?
Oh, massive. A moose
words,
is the biggest animal you're ever going to see.
So if we hit this, we're dead.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
A
moose is like there's stuff like hunter stories that if you're like hunting in the bush, and if you shoot a moose and you don't kill it, and it is just annoyed, and it's there's certain things that you can shoot at and they'll run away. And they'll probably go die somewhere because they're going to bleed to death. And moose is just like, oh, really? Okay. Now I got to kill you. And if you don't kill the moose, you're done. Because they're big and they're mean for no reason. They're meaner than bears. Moose are scarier than bears.
Well, moose have got antlers, so, yeah.
Yeah.
It's but a bear.
Well, the thing is, because we go camping in like the northern wilderness sometimes, eh? And where there's bears and moose, and bears will like come out if they're hungry, and they'll like look for your cooler and stuff for food, and they won't really bother you unless you bother them. But moose is dangerous because they'll attack you if they feel like it.
So what you're saying is a moose is a dick, is what you're saying?
Yes, a moose is a giant dick.
Well,
incredible. Yeah. And that's reiterated my desire to do a Montreal road trip. Yeah, you should probably come see one at some point.
I'm thinking I'm going to fly.
Wow.
No, you have to drive, because when you get into northern Canada, and like, have you ever seen those deer crossing, like beware of deer signs on the side of roads?
Yeah.
And we have like moose ones, and they look even more like just evil on the signs. Because, like, the deer are like, oh, the deer are jumping here, watch out. And the moose look like they're just stalking you.
Ha ha ha, I'm going to kill you today.
Even the signs look evil. Yeah. Ha ha ha. I'm annoyed. I woke up on the wrong side of the thicket.
Brilliant. Oh, I like the sound of this.
Yeah.
Mooses are dicks. Is it mooses or meese?
That's what I wasn't sure when I was about to say. You can't say mooses, can you?
I don't know.
I think it's just moose.
Is it just moose?
I think it works as singular or plural.
See, we didn't think of that one. We thought mooses or meese. Like geese.
No, I don't think so. Because I think deer is just the same. One deer, two deer, one moose, two moose. I think it's the same.
I'd love it to be meese.
I like meese, though. We'll go with meese.
Meese are dicks. That's what we've learned tonight.
Meese are dicks. Let's get them.
That needs to become a T-shirt immediately. Meese are dicks.
And then on the back, let's get them. It's brilliant.
I like it. Okay, I will be your moose are dick spokesperson.
Let's get them. I'm writing this down right now.
I did want to say before.
Let's get them. This is the most random thing in the world.
I like it. We're going to trend this.
Okay, moose. Plural, moose. Chiefly humorous, meese.
Yeah.
So you can call them meese.
Right.
Really?
Meese are
It's silly.
All right.
It works.
Meese are dicks.
Meese is my new favourite word. I might just tweet that right away. Meese are dicks. Let's get them. I'm doing that right now. That's it.
Also.
I'm talking about it so much.
Right. Anyway, let's finish up then with a final plug for this weekend at the Centre Saint-Barthélemy. So if I remember correctly, in Montreal, Quebec, Femmes Fatales VII. It's going to be Courtney Rush versus Kelly Skater, the Rate Tank. Lots of other good stuff coming up there as well, including Calamity versus Lufisto for the International Championship. And as far as you're concerned, What else have you got coming up? Anything else that you want to plug? I mean, what's next for Courtney Rush?
What's next for Courtney Rush? After Femmes Fatales, I have my return match against Cherry Bomb at Neo Spirit Pro Wrestling, which is where we've been feuding very heatedly for the past few months. And then in November, both of us are being flown out to LCW in Newfoundland. So that's a new debut for me. I've never wrestled out east, so that should be interesting.
And as far as 2012 is concerned, what's the long-term plans like? Do you harbour intentions of tryouts, of getting signed, or is that something that if it comes along, it's great, but you're not necessarily looking for it?
Not necessarily looking for anything. Definitely if it comes along, that's very cool. If it's an opportunity and if it is there and it works and I'm ready for it, I'll go for it, which is the approach that I've taken for most of what I've done. 2012 is really the only thing that I'm thinking about is I'm going to the Dominican Republic in March for a vacation, and that's my first vacation in like 5 years.
There you go. Watch out, Dominican Republic.
Yeah, so it's time to soak up some sun.
you got to get back to us after next March and let us know what sort of evil animals they have in the Dominican Republic.
Oh, I will. Oh, I wonder if they do could have like a crazy like evil animal brawl movie and see Dominican versus Canada.
That's like the follow-up to Monster Brawl. That works for me.
Yeah, it's Nature Brawl.
Nature Brawl, ladies and gentlemen, coming to a cinema near you late 2012.